Welcome to the LNN weekly recap this Sunday evening, bringing the latest foreign developments alongside key updates from across the nation. The most developing story this evening involves CPVH1, which you may remember appearing in headlines a couple of weeks ago. The disease, that most officials had hoped to be contained in Lowmore and Ironbridge, recently came back in the form of an outbreak in the city of Thaxted. Only a couple individuals have been infected and no fatalities have been reported in relation to the disease in Thaxted. However, if more than 20 fatalities are reported in Thaxted alone, CPVH1 will once more be reclassified, but this time it will be classified as an amber national outbreak from a yellow national outbreak. If CPVH1 is classified as an amber national outbreak, it will be announced via the emergency alert system. This is to make sure the announcement can only come from the Grand Duke himself to prevent the spread of misinformation. If it is made via the emergency alert system, it will likely outline what to do next. However, we here at LNN will inform you of what we believe the alert may not cover during the classification of CPVH1 as an amber national outbreak. If the emergency alert was to announce the reclassification, a soft lockdown of gatherings will take place alongside restrictions mentioned in the emergency broadcast. Supermarkets and such essentials are not banned at this level. However, gatherings such as music festivals and entertainment carnivals will have to be under strict social distancing to avoid the spread of disease. Our next developing story is that in Los Sueños and the surrounding area bordering Finland and Estonia, a notable crime wave has been reported. Specifically, crimes such as murder and home invasion have gone up 48% and 28% respectively. The LSPD and the other surrounding cities' police department officials have given no statements regarding the recent crime wave, which some speculate online as the proof the police cannot control the gangs anymore. However, despite the overwhelming amount of 911 calls in the area, the LSPD has remarkably managed to respond decisively to every active shooter situation. Estimates place that around 10 suspects have been arrested and around 13 suspects have been killed or critically wounded. Our reporters have discovered that most criminals arrested in this crime wave are being sent to one prison, which we will not broadcast the name of for the safety of prison staff. We asked the Crown-Cap City Police Chief about the idea of placing radically different groups and gangs in the same prison, and he said, quote, "It's an utterly unfathomable idea. It is basic knowledge that you do not place rival gangs in the same prison." Moving away from the lingering developing stories, let's take a break with this week's security brief, where we'll cover notable military movements not mentioned or only briefly covered in this broadcast. Our first report is that the Royal Mechanised Armed Forces has finished recalling heavy equipment from Cassia. One of our reporters asked the Cassian King about the Towchester equipment, and he said this: "We cannot thank your nation enough for the equipment you sent and the support you had shown us during our darkest hour in modern history. You pulled us out of the grasp of the Estonian war machine and guided us back into the rightful light of liberty, away from whatever delusion Estonia believes is liberty in this modern day." This strong comment has surprised a few Castilian citizens around the leader at the time of the comment. However, soon after they had broken into applause for their quote, defiant leader. Our second report for you this evening is rather short, and is that the Royal Mechanised Armed Forces has finished the construction of 5 new small factories in the Burton province, following the unification it had with the rest of the mainland last week. We have obtained a photograph of one of the factories, which is on screen now. A collection of environmentalists have protested the factories, saying that they destroy the local environment with the pollution the factories produce. Our third bulletin this evening is that the Reunited Airlines, which is the airline that transports workers and families to and from the island mega factory to the Royal Mechanised Armed Forces, have begun their turnaround flights to and from the two islands. This comes as we enter the 8th month of the year, WEDMAF, and the workers are switched around what is simply called Shift A and Shift B. Every shift is 6 months long, and Shift B is flying to the two islands as we speak and will be there until after Yule 31st. Of course, the workers will be flying back home for celebrations such as Yule and Yester, and a 10-day break that accompanies both holidays. Now, let's take a break from the international stories for the 10th annual tennis tournament. As we enter round 2 of both the Urban Assembly Cup and the Provisional Grounds Cup, anticipation begins as we draw ever closer to find out who will win the 10th annual tennis tournament. Before we cover the 2 matches of the second round of the 2 tennis cups, let's cover the last matches of round 1 in both cups, respectfully. The final match of round 1 in the Urban Assembly Cup was between Bedford and Greenstead. The very close match between the two teams in the end resulted in a Greenstead victory. In the Provisional Grounds Cup, the final match of round 1 was between Lowmore and Brambleton. You may recall that Lowmore was the first town to be infected by CPVH1. However, at the first signs of the disease, the Lowmore Town Council put aside their 2 greatest players and quarantined them for weeks until the match, making sure they could play in today's match. And their efforts paid off, as after the 3-game match, Lowmore won the match. Now, the first match of round 2 in the Urban Assembly Cup was between the 2 cities of Castley and Hawthorne, and after a 3-game match, Hawthorne won the match and moved on to round 3 in the cup. The second match of round 2 in the Urban Assembly Cup was between Warford and Ridgehaven, and after a 2-game match, Ridgehaven won the match, moving on to face Hawthorne in round 3. The first match of round 2 in the Provisional Grounds Cup was between the countryside towns of Ashford Hollow and Windley, and after a match of 3 games, Ashford Hollow won the match. The second match of round 2 in the Provisional Grounds Cup was in the towns of Elmwood and Greenmoor, and after a match of 2 games, Elmwood won the match. Our first story from the domestic theatre is that the 4th assailant of the robbery of the Pasden branch of the Coin Vault National Bank was arrested earlier this afternoon. This comes after almost a week of evading police searches and roadblocks. One of our reporters asked the chief of the Pasden Police Department about the delay it took to detain the 4th assailant. He responded with, "I understand that it may seem like a flaw to take a week to catch a bank robber. However, I can assure the general public in Pasden that the detainment of this 4th assailant in 1 week is nothing short of an impressive." We have some breaking news coming out of Estonia. As of moments ago, unmarked armoured vehicles arrived at the main police station in Los Sueños. They appear to be working with the LSPD. However, their motives and whether or not the LSPD hired them is unknown at this present time. They have not been seen responding to the significant uptick of 911 calls in Los Sueños at the current time, and have only been reported to have arrived inside Los Sueños. We will continue to monitor the situation carefully and will broadcast over the night service if any more significant developments on this situation occur. Before we move on to domestic announcements, we have a couple more domestic stories for you all. Our second domestic story this evening concerns the outreach program begun by the Toad Space Agency. On Wednesday, the radars picked up their first suspicious message that set off alarm bells within the global community, hoping that today was the day they confirmed alien life. However, the sound was produced by our sun through its process of churning plasma. It is important to note that the program is still operational and is searching the cosmos for out-of-place signals that confirm the presence of similar intelligent life light years away. Our third and final significant domestic story for you this evening is that half of the Crown Reach space station is now being constructed in high Terra orbit as of yesterday. The Crown Reach station, which will be used for observation of the planet alongside zero and microgravity experiments, is expected to be finished by the end of this year and will be fully operational early 2005. The station will be operated by a crew of 3 that will serve 6 months deployments in 2 shift groups, much like 2 island mega factories. This marks the moment where the Toads are no longer fourth in space exploration, but after the station's construction will be first once again, much like we were between 1953 and 1987. The Grand Duke himself commented on the matter in an interview, stating that this historic construction project being executed by the Toad Space Agency as we speak shall be nothing short of the respect and admiration this great country deserves. No more shall our space agency be the thorn in our wonderful side, but instead be the crown upon our victorious heads. Before we end tonight's broadcast, we only have a couple announcements for you all. Our first announcement is that the Clayford National Airport has been closed for runway repairs. The nearby airport in Bridgeworth has been selected as the redirection airport. However, given the still considerable distance from Clayford, many travellers are upset, but many do understand the runway repairs need to be executed immediately. Our second and final announcement this evening is that Chester Guide has opened a line between Ashbourne and the mildly faraway city of Windermere. The company that offers speed of the present day and steam engines of the last century have already begun running their first trains along the track. The scenic route between the hillsides is a journey many have booked tickets for, specifically for the views. Here is a picture of the train running along this afternoon route on the line dubbed the Golden Line. That is all we have for you this evening. The night service will soon follow, and we hope you have a wonderful week ahead. This has been the LNN Weekly Recap. See you tomorrow.